Welcome everyone to this webinar. I'm super excited to be partnering with Cardio Miracle because this is something that I don't believe in general. I do not believe in supplements. I have needed a lot of different medication in my life, and I've kind of seen supplements as something that granola people use. I have, as I've watched different loved ones struggled, as I've had my own struggles specifically with mental health. I have not, that's not a path I've gone down much. There was a time in my life where, I was trying all the oils and all the things to heal depression and anxiety in myself, and really quickly realized I was going to need greater intervention in that. And because of that, it's not a place I've gone to find healing until a really special product that I've started taking that has made it so I am completely off ADHD medication. I no longer need caffeine. I am no longer taking turmeric for my hips. I'm not taking any other vitamins but this. And so because it's truly been so life-changing for both myself and my husband, it feels as like this secret that few people I know personally know about. I am so honored to be with the neuroscientist behind this, which is Dr. Avery Jackson. Hi, Dr. Avery.
Hey, Julie. Thanks for having me.
Do you prefer Dr. Jackson or Dr. Avery? I guess I should ask.
People call me both, so it doesn't
Do they?
matter. Dr. Jackson is the stuffy version. Dr. Avery is the laid-back version.
I like it. I'm usually kind of laid back, so I'll probably call you Dr. Avery if that's okay. Mark,
Totally fine.
thanks. We're happy to have you. Feel free to comment in the chat. We're super excited. We'd love to see where you're coming from. Real quick, I want to for those of you that don't know Dr. Avery, I feel like I know him very well. He doesn't know me, but that is not because I'm a stalker, but today before interview, as I was curling my hair, I was listening to an interview you did about the science behind Cardio Miracle, and so when I saw you today, I was like, oh, it's my friend. I've been listening to you today. You have a good heart. That comes through in your interview, and I'm excited to talk today. So here's a little bit about Dr. Avery. Dr. Avery answered the call on his life at the age of 8 years old to become a brain surgeon. Holy cow, 8. He is a board-certified neurosurgeon and the founder and chief executive officer of the Michigan Neurosurgical Institute, PC. He is the best-selling author of the book, The God Prescription, that highlights improving health of spirit, soul, and body. He serves on the executive board of directors for Kenneth Copeland Ministries and speaks at faith-based leadership conferences across the country. Dr. Jackson and his wife, Cara Marie, host the God Prescription show on multiple networks, including One Voice TV Network, the Victory Channel, Faith TV Network, Dunamis Network. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong, Dr. Avery. You can tell me in a minute. And Faith Plus streaming app. How do you say that word? Let's start there.
Yeah, you were right. Dunamis. You're totally fine.
Okay, good. There's probably going to be a lot of words I mispronounced today. I can tell listening to your background. So, as I introduced, I am kind of anti-supplement culture in general. Just not that I specifically speak out against it, but it has been so important to me to make sure that my mental health is in check. And because I call it black magic to my friends, which I know that's not what it is. I know there's science behind it, but because I am so unaware of the scientific process of how these things work, can you really water down for someone that does not have degrees, for someone that is not a neurosurgeon and a brain surgeon and all of these things? Can you simply tell me, why does this supplement work?
So, Julie, in a nutshell, it works because it has a bunch of different ingredients that are basically organic, and along with nitric oxide. And so nitric oxide is something that our body produces, especially when we're getting sick. It helps to fight inflammation in our brain and our bodies. So you take the combination of nitric oxide with all of these other organic fruits and vegetables together, and they're just a symphony together, and they work really well on blood flow and on brain function and on organ function. And so in a nutshell, that's the nice thing about it. It's just very simple. It's clean. And it's basically replaced most of the supplements or the vitamins that I used to take.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, if I could, one of the things that kind of got me on board with Cardio Miracle was that I had a patient who had a large foot ulcer, and I was seeing her for back pain. And so, but her daughter said, "Hey, by the way, she's got this other problem. It's painful and so forth." So she had been treated for 2 years on traditional medication for this ulcer, and it wasn't healing. And so I said, let's try the Cardio Miracle because it has the basic building blocks of what your body needs to heal, help to heal itself. So she tried it, and within 2 to 3 months, it healed to the size of roughly a pinhole. So that was my initial major encounter with one of my patients. So I thought, okay, well, this is obviously not hurting, but really helping. And so to give you an idea.
Thank you. That is something that I make sense of. It's just so crazy to me. And I told my husband because I felt the effects immediately the day I started taking it. And the reason why did I even give it a chance when I'm a skeptic? It's interesting. I heard, and I can't remember who said it, but I'm a podcaster myself, and I heard on someone else's podcast, they were talking about food and the nutrition in our food. And they talked about the idea of a plant, how when we see the leaves dying on a plant, we don't immediately, rub some ointment on the leaves. We test the soil underneath the plant and we look at, okay, are there any nutrients missing before going to more extreme measures? And for whatever reason that day, it felt like divine intervention for me. That truth really hit me that I was not having great success on ADHD medications. I felt incredibly emotional, just up and down. I mean, when it works, man, it's like you're wearing glasses right now. I wear contacts. That's what it felt like when I took ADHD medication after being diagnosed as an adult, is all of a sudden I saw so clearly what was going on. And I as a speaker and a writer and the different things I do, I have to manage my own time most of the time, unless I'm, at a gig. But even there, it's tricky, and it's been such a struggle. There's a really creative side to it, but it's really impacted my life. And so as I've tried these different ADHD, I tried Vyvanse, I tried what's the really popular one, the one they always joke about, Adderall, and I felt like my anxiety and depression in general, when I wasn't during that 8-hour or 4-hour window, was actually worse. Like so you take the most quick acting ADHD medications, for people listening, if you don't know, when you take it acts for, somewhere between 3 to 8 hours. It gives you just a great mental clarity and it makes it easier to be productive. But then there's also a crash that comes with it. And so it became harder and harder on the hours when that wasn't in effect. I was struggling to just get out of bed. I was struggling to just make dinner. And that's not me. So I had this intense clarity, but then the times when it wasn't in effect, I felt like the worst version of myself. And so I started getting off my ADHD medication, just telling my psychiatrist, it's not worth it. It's not worth, I'll go back to not having those hours of intense forced clarity. And it was when I was on my last, I think I'd been at 60 milligrams of Vyvanse and I was down to 10, that I decided I was going to start trying this supplement. Because I'm good close friends with Jason Hewlett, the president, and a lot of trust for him. And he's a fellow speaker of mine. And I'd seen some things about it, and I just thought, what the heck? If this really can do what it says it can do, what do I have to lose? And what's the crazy difference, and I'm sure you can explain why here in a minute, is that it doesn't, while I drink it, and while I talk about this, I'm going to do my dose right now. This is what it looks like, Cardio Miracle. It comes in bigger pouches than this. This is just a sample of the single packets, which I love for when I travel as a speaker. But what I found is when I would take it, even just that first day I took it, I'd take 2 scoops in 8 ounces water, just like a shot, is that I felt kind of this immediate energy boost, much like when I took my ADHD medication. but I didn't feel anxious. I didn't feel jittery from it. And I didn't feel, and then I do it again in the afternoon as directed. So I take it twice a day religiously, just like it's my medicine, because I don't take my medicine anymore. And you're drinking yours right now.
Oh yeah, this is my
Or is
time.
that actually Kool-Aid? I heard you talk about Kool-Aid in the interview. You're like, it's like my Kool-Aid. So I just put mine in here, 2 scoops. I like using my little drink mixer if I have it, or I'll put it in a shaker bottle, but just to mix it up good. But I started taking it, and it's like I'd get this energy boost, but I wouldn't get the crash that came with it. And then again in the afternoon, I would take it, and I like felt that little like almost dopamine hit of like, ooh, I just feel a little more awake, but I don't feel anxious. I just feel good. I just feel awake. And I didn't feel this crash at the end of the day. In fact, it seemed like it had long cumulative effects that I started waking up just more awake. Even when I hadn't taken it for the day, I just woke up and I'm like, I can get out of bed. Like It's having this cumulative buildup in my body. Why is that?
Yeah, Julie, it's I think the way that you've described how you feel is a perfect segue, because our body needs certain elements, and especially the dopamine and just the right continuous flow. And so when you're not producing dopamine adequately, then not only do you feel cognitively or in terms of your thinking is slower, and the brain term for that is bradyphrenia, which means slowness of thought. So everything slows down, but also you feel kind of horrible emotionally. And the two tend to go together. And so when you're getting the dopamine levels up, then that can affect your emotional life as well as the speed in which you think and the mental clarity, as you mentioned. So, well, in Cardio Miracle, it has NAC in it, which is a precursor to a lot of the neurotransmitters in your brain, the chemicals like dopamine, for instance. And so it helps to spur on the production of dopamine. The other piece is it has lion's mane, and lion's mane is a mushroom. But the lion's mane does so much. Actually, that also helps to increase or encourage dopamine production. So you have at least 2 or more mechanisms that will help to encourage your body's ability to make dopamine in a sustained amount and make it readily available to your brain. And then, when you look at some of the other aspects, okay, like for instance, there's certain fruits and vegetables that we eat that really help our brain and give us clarity. And so a lot of those berries are in Cardio Miracle. So it's such a wonderful combination. But here's the big thing, Julie, is that when you look at blood flow makes all the difference in our brains. When we have lack of blood flow, then, everything changes, it slows down. But when the blood flow speeds up, then we get that jolt that you get. And so that's what happens with the nitric oxide that's in the Cardio Miracle. It changes the diameter of our blood vessels, and so that helps affect our blood pressure, but it actually increases the microvascular circulation throughout our bodies and in our brain. And what's interesting about that is for people who have had so kind of micro damage from whatever it is in their brain, it could be from many strokes, it could be from a whole host of different issues. The having this nitric oxide actually stimulates the blood flow, but it also affects something that's really cool, which is your neuro stem cells. So we have these cells in our brain, and when some cells in our brain die or for whatever reason, then these cells kick in and they replace the bad cells. Problem is, if you have a poor eating diet, there's a lot of toxins in the air, there's emotional toxins. So there's all these different toxins that can affect your brain health that come into play. And these stem cells need to be stimulated to replace the bad cells. Well, it turns out there was a study looking at 2 populations, a younger population and an older population, regarding these stem cells, these neurostem cells. And the thought that most of us had in the scientific community was, Well, it must be that younger people have more stem cells that replace the bad cells because they don't usually develop Alzheimer's and other issues or other brain issues. But in the older population, they must have less stem cells because they're the ones that are most vulnerable. Well, it turns out an autopsy study was done looking at the younger population and the older population, and they both had the same amount of stem cells. So the question becomes, if they had the same amount of stem cells, why is the older population more likely to develop cognitive brain issues? And the answer was blood flow. It turns out that their blood flow was less, they were less hydrated, and so that's one of the big pieces in Cardio Miracle. It stimulates blood flow and the production of this nitric oxide, which decreases inflammation, which also helps those neurochemicals to communicate with each other. So it speeds everything up, and that's why you kind of get this high, but it's
Right.
not. It's not this this high that's. It's a smooth high, kind of like when you have a massage. You know
Hmm.
how you feel more awake, but you're more relaxed, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
that, and that's the reason why.
And real quick, let's answer. I think this is worth answering. Deborah has just messaged in the chat. She said, how is ADHD usually treated? I can only speak from the patient perspective, but what would you say to that, Dr. Avery?
So one of the things, and and as a neurosurgeon, matter of fact, as a person who had ADHD, especially when I was younger, and then as a neurosurgeon, I mean, the concept is this: your your focus, your attention is actually so revved up that the entire world around you seems slow. Okay, in essence. So if we give you stimulants, then it helps you to catch up with, or the rest of the world to catch up with your brain, actually. Okay. And
Mm,
I believe that most people with ADHD, while there can be chemical imbalances, I believe that most of them are brilliant. All right. And
mhm.
the problem is they're thinking so fast that it's hard to take in information slowly, like to read slowly and so forth. And that leads to this cascade, okay, this negative cascade, and there's a feedback loop, okay? So basically, stimulants can help give you a boost of energy, and then that affects your emotional life. And then you're able to function until you have that crash, like you were mentioning earlier, in a nutshell.
Well said. Yeah. And from what's interesting about ADHD too, and if you have any thoughts on this, Dr. Avery, let me know. But even having talked to my own therapist about ADHD, I remember when I was diagnosed, he said, I can help people with, with coping skills and things with anxiety, with depression. He's like, ADHD is very chemical, and you kind of just have it. It kind of just is, and you have to figure out how to work with it. But it's probably not going away until, you have to find routines and rhythms and things that work. But that's why I turned to medication so quickly for it, and was so grateful immediately for that, that wow, that clarity. But I didn't know the downside effects of it. And I just, like, I could cry. I'm so grateful that I found this other option, that I still could get that clarity, but just by having better health. In fact, I showed up at my psychiatrist's office, and I was like, I'm completely off the Vyvanse. And I brought this to him. And he's also a professor at our local university. And he just read the back. And first of all, he's like, how are you doing? And I'm like, I am doing so good. And he's like, I love to hear that. And he read through all the ingredients. And what I loved hearing is that he looked through it, and he said, there's nothing in here, first of all, that's concerning. He said, everything in here is amazing. And he said, and it's something that you can take till the day you die. Like, there's nothing about this that I'm concerned about. Everything is just good. It's just good stuff. And what I loved about that is, I've seen doctors, and I'm sure you are well aware of this. I've seen doctors that, or natural herbalists, or people that really want to go the natural way for holistic medication. I've seen them sometimes be at odds. And one of the greatest examples to me, besides my psychiatrist, is, I remember my sister. She's passed away from cancer now. She was my best friend, and I remember as she was looking at different methods for treatment, she would bring up holistic things she's heard, and this sweet um this sweet oncologist would say, okay, yeah, like there's some science that why don't you, okay, let's look at getting those vitamin injections. Let's look at, and like my psychiatrist, doctors that can do that can say, hey, this is working for you. Stick with it. Don't get medicated. If this works for you, I don't care, because that's why they got into helping people, right? And I sense that same thing in you, which is why I've loved listening to your interview so much. Is this isn't a device. This should be something we all agree on, I guess I'd say.
Totally agree. And Julie, if I could say, I think you're spot on. We take this oath as physicians that says, right, first do no harm. So if first do no harm is really what we believe, then why wouldn't we try something that is completely harmless, that can be beneficial in so many areas? And I think the answer is, we're not really trained to deal with kind of natural solutions, right? I mean, I had 1 hour of nutrition in medical school. And so because of that, immediately I'm going to say, okay, that's fine, but there's no science at all behind that. Now, in this case, Cardio Miracle, there's a bunch of science behind it. We have a paper on PTSD, which is absolutely amazing. We have an ongoing study right now, actually, in Michigan. But the PTSD paper, for instance, really highlights what it does in terms of fighting stress and how it makes people feel better emotionally and gives them a boost of energy. So that's really fascinating. And then there are studies looking at vitamin D also, and in terms of how this improves your vitamin D levels, and there's vitamin D within the Cardio Miracle, but it also helps to support your production of vitamin D that is freed up from your fat cells in your body. And it turns out that when your vitamin D levels are where they're supposed to be, you feel better, your immune system works better, and you have stronger bones. And I mean, I could go on and on about vitamin D. The effects of vitamin D are absolutely amazing. And here's the thing. We learned in medical school, I learned the science behind vitamin D, but I didn't ever think to connect vitamin D in a more natural way, And so now, with everything that's happened since COVID, it's forcing physicians and clinicians to say, hey, look, let's take another look at how we can help people and really think outside the box. And I think before, I was in my four walls as a neurosurgeon, and so I only thought a certain way. And so there are so many other papers out there that show that nitric oxide, for instance, helps your brain and helps inflammation. And so it's been a game changer.
Yeah. And I think something I was really, well, first, let me say this. I happened to have my wellness check this morning with my normal doctor, and she'd seen my husband not too long ago, who also started taking the supplement as at the same time as I did. Now, if there's anyone I would love to find solutions for health problems, it would be my husband, because I just got remarried this year. And he's had so many health issues, specifically with his liver. And I am not kidding you. Within 2 weeks, he has IBS, and which is so funny. He's like, you can tell everyone about this. I'm like, I love some men, how it's like they don't want to share their feelings publicly, but they're like, talk about my IBS, sure. But he's so excited because within 2 weeks he called me, and I was saying to him, I was like, man, this Cardio Miracles, I'm like, I keep waking up feeling like this. It's not this easy. There's no way this is just like gonna keep working. It's like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm like, what if it's just a placebo effect, that I think I feel better, but what if I'm such a skeptic? And that's when he was like, hold up, girl. He's like, I haven't even had time to tell you because I've been working so much. He's been taking this religiously. And he's like, Julie, it's been less than 2 weeks and my IBS is in complete remission. Wow. Complete remission. And then he went to tell me some gory details that I was like, I didn't need to know that. He's like, let me tell you what it was like before. Let me tell you what it's like now. But I was convinced. He's like, I don't care if you think it's a placebo. He's like, this stuff works. This is crazy. And I mean, I don't know how many vitamins we have. I'm not a big vitamin girl, but we got married and he opened up a drawer of vitamins with like, I don't know, it seems like there's about 100 vitamins and supplements and things in there. And now he's taking it, and it's just been truly this complete miracle in our lives. It's helped him so much. He's also not taking ADHD medication. And I am just so excited to see where it takes us, because already the things we're not buying at Costco because of this. I mean, we're not buying, or like I was taking turmeric gummies for I have hypermobility, and I found that I would wake up with achy hips every single morning. The girls at pickleball would always make fun of me because I was always doing these weird stretches because my psoas muscle in there is so tight. And I stopped taking my turmeric because this has turmeric in it and it works even better. So now, especially someone with ADHD, for both my husband and I, to have one simple drink that we just take twice a day, like, oh, because I see all, and maybe that's one reason I've never gotten into the vitamins and supplements, because I'm so overwhelmed by, okay, you need to take this for this and this for this. And I'm just like, it just feels easier to just be like, nope, that feels too hard. That sounds too exhausting for my brain. But now that I can just drink twice a day and it's super good for me, it like has had so many benefits. I'm not buying half the things I did at Costco. We're saving money doing it. Has just been huge blessing. So I'll probably say it multiple times in this webinar, but thank you for the work you do. And it's been life-changing for my family.
Oh, sure. And I tell you what, it's been an honor to talk about Cardio Miracle and its positive effects on so many people. And the science is there. When you look at nitric oxide, I mean, it won a Nobel Prize in terms of what it's done and how it works in the body. Do you know, this is really kind of interesting, Julie, that when you laugh, you actually secrete nitric oxide from your blood vessels.
Shut up.
Oh,
Really?
For real, right? So isn't that something like, like the Bible says that laughter is like a good medicine, right? It's like medicine. But it literally is. So the science actually supports that biblical truth. And so it's already in there. And there's this complex kind of process across the lining of the blood vessel wall. And so the nitric oxide and L-arginine will go across. And then there's an arginase protein that will activate or transform arginine into nitric oxide and then citrulline. And so it's a really cool process. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because it's really important to understand that with Cardio Miracle, it has the right balance. So you're able to have a high amount of nitric oxide in your system without having peroxynitrite, which is the bad metabolite that can be produced. And Cardio Miracle is the only supplement that actually took the time. So John Hewlett, the founder, took the time to make sure that this product wouldn't cause people harm. Okay. And from my understanding, no other entity that provides nitric oxide has done that. So it's a smart supplement. It's a smart superfood, and by a smart person who created, this product. And so as a scientist, I was really impressed by that. And it's interesting because Malinsky, who is the gentleman who from Ohio State who performed the studies on Cardio Miracle, said that John Hewlett couldn't have been smart enough to figure out the perfect mix of formula of a high nitric oxide with a low, peroxynitrite in terms of a bad metabolite. And so it's like the perfect mix, and that's so important. And if you look at the papers, there's a couple thousand papers just written on nitric oxide's effect on your body, your brain, decrease inflammation, and on and on. Matter of fact, if you run out of nitric oxide in your body and L-arginine, that's when people really crash in terms of getting really sick. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so that's why it's so important to have a continuous amount of active nitric oxide and L-arginine in your body. And so all that's mixed in the formula. so that not only does it stimulate your body's production of nitric oxide, but the amount of nitric oxide that's in it, studies have shown, will last up to 20 hours or beyond 20 hours, which is unreal, because prior to this product, they found that some products would have nitric oxide last for a couple of minutes, but this one's 20 hours, to give you an idea. And especially those people who, again, have that even long haul COVID, where they're just kind of energy depleted and they can't focus. It's been a real help to them as well. So I'm so thrilled that it works for you and for your husband, and as great testimonies, because it's like, how can we help people without hurting people and also without hurting their pocketbooks? And so what I found is, right, we've taken all of our supplements away. And so now we just take we take Cardio Miracle. And every now and again, I'll take an iodine, or I'll take an omega-3 supplement. And that's really about it. And
Yeah.
I've done really well. And especially, I'm a swimmer. And so before I go swimming, I'll take my Cardio Miracle, and then it gives me a boost of energy, and I'm good to go. And so again, lots of science behind it, lots of brain science, and how it affects not only your brain, but pretty much every organ in your body. The other piece people don't really think about is vitamin D. Like, if you live in a state like me, like in Michigan, we get a lot less sun than some of the other states. And so the problem is you don't have the activated form of vitamin D in your system. And so you have to have the activated form. And so when you're living in Florida or some of the other sunny states, you're able to convert your vitamin D to the active form when there's lots of sun. Well, in Cardio Miracle, it has the bioavailable active form of vitamin D in it, and it also helps to produce more as you ingest it. And that helps with your immune system, and especially with your natural killer cells. And your natural killer cells kill viruses and bacteria, but also precancer cells. So this is a game changer across the entire spectrum of health issues, to avoid those chronic issues that people tend to run into, because their body is depleted of of some of the building blocks that it needs to keep itself healthy. And so that's the reason why I'm been so grateful to John Hewlett and the Cardio Miracle, and it's just an amazing story.
It is. And, I tell stories for a living as a speaker, and stories are what motivate us, because it, this is why we all work, is to live higher quality lives, right? To live lives where we can be active and engaged and connect with other people. Everything I do is around human connection, and my ability to connect with others on a deeper level is so directly tied to where my mental health is at that day. And I have to, and I appreciate this slide being up. I have a women's group. My company is ICU Living, which is my sister company to Speaking ICU Leadership. And everything we do is about human connection. Years ago, I didn't even have the confidence to tie my own shoes. I was in such a deep depression and anxiety, and was diagnosed with PTSD, actually. And it's crazy how human connection truly saved my life. Like, people choosing to sit in the hard with me and do those things. But I still had to find other resources to help improve my mental health. And I'm so grateful for the medication I used. I am so grateful for the hole it got me out of in that situation. And I'm so grateful to be at the point now where I can take something more natural that is improving my health over a lifetime. I find it interesting. I love what you talked about precancerous cells, because my family carries the BRCA2 mutation. And so I have one sister that has already passed away at 38, and I have another sister that's had breast cancer. So I have tested, me and my siblings have tested. I've tested negative, which I'm grateful for, but I'm still, because of different genetic things, needing to already go in for what's that one terrible thing we have to do where we have to drink all that gross Miralax? Colonoscopy. That's it. I've already been doing those, and I'm going for I have to go for my 6 months checks. And so anything that can help, because cancer is so huge in our family. And at a young age, I have a niece that had leukemia at 2. both my parents currently have cancer. Like so to know that I'm doing something to preemptively help and that I can share that with others and is huge. Someone asked in the chat something that I think is important and actually has to do with cancer from what I've heard. I know the word lymphedema. Joanne asks, will it help with the lymphatic system and with lymphedema?
Right.
Or
And the answer is
lymphedema?
yes. Well, the answer is yes. So it actually helps with the flow of the lymphatic system, which is connected to the cardiovascular system. And so that's that's of huge importance, because obviously your lymphatic system helps to clear your body, especially from your white blood cells, as you know, that are doing their job, killing infection and other foreign materials out of your system. So you have to have good lymphatic flow, and if not, then you end up with the lymphedema.
And that's where, if I remember correctly, before my sister passed, she had to wear a really tight compression sleeve. Am I remembering?
That's exactly right. Yeah, exactly. Especially with certain surgeries. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable that the lymphatic system is affected, with a surgery. And so in those cases in particular, certain extremities are more prone to developing lymphedema. But you
Okay.
can also have that from lack of movement. Like if someone, let's say they have a hip surgery or what have you, and so now they have to sit or lay for a long period of time, well, then they'll start to develop dependent edema on their legs, and that can be really painful, and your skin can even weep. So something like the Cardio Miracle can help to stimulate the flow in the lymphatic system and the cardiovascular system.
Right. Well, and I was going to say, jumping back to ADHD, I started a story and then stopped it because I wanted to ask you something else. Real quick though. Someone says, thank you both for answering my question. It sounds like what I need, so it should be of value to cancer as well. Yeah. That is a huge motivator for me. And you can go over to cardiomiracle.com/ICU living where you can get 15% off for sure. It's been a game changer for me, but it's interesting because I guess I'll pause on that story because I think this is more important to say right now, which is my understanding with Cardio Miracle is it's been most sold in an older age. I'm an adult. It turns out I'm 35, but to an older women, that's who consumes it the most. Not as many younger consumers like me not that there's none, but it's not the majority of who purchase it, which I have found so interesting because for me, I don't know that I would have looked at it. Even the name Cardio Miracle, I thought was just for the heart. And then I did some more I did digger deeping, and especially that study about PTSD and having been diagnosed with PTSD and having had the mental health issues I've had. And as I've strived to help other people with my own speaking and book and podcast and things, like, it's just crazy. I feel a little crazy that I'm supporting it, to be honest. Like, there's a little bit of imposter syndrome because I just have never believed in this stuff, but I cannot deny what it's done. In fact, to finish this story, this morning I went in for my wellness checkup. My husband had gone in about a week prior, and he told her, he's like, Judy, you're never going to believe, like, we started this supplement. Julie's not taking her ADHD meds. And she's like, what? Because she's been on this roller coaster with me. So I went in this morning and I took it into her, and she wrote down, I was like, cardiomiracle.com/ICU living, because she has kids with ADHD. And she's like, oh, I will not let them be on those meds again. And she said they've been trying different supplements and so immediately. And she's like, how are you doing? And I was telling her about, actually there's a lot of stresses and hard things in life right now, but I'm like, but I'm okay. And she was just like, do you remember where you were at on those meds? Like, how depressed they were making you? And I was like, I know. This is my new normal, though. This is just how I wake up. Like, the sun still shines. Yeah, things are hard, but I'm clear. And I really give all the credit to this drink, Dr. Avery. I didn't ever,
Well,
never believed in before.
it's, to your point, Julie, it seems that people who are older tend to do their homework, right? And then they find out about Cardio Miracle and say, okay, I'm going to try it, right? But now we're starting to see people who were on energy drinks go with the Cardio Miracle. So, because a lot of athletes have found that when they take the Cardio Miracle before they work out, that it gives them a boost, and after, it's a great recovery drink. And so it's kind of interesting because, you know, if I had to talk to the younger population and the folks that are, you know, were consuming all these energy drinks, I would say, listen, at some point, what's in the energy drinks is going to be hurtful to your brain. And whereas for the Cardio Miracle, it's not your body and your brain. It's going to eventually cause you to burn out. And literally, when we say burn out, what I mean is that the junction of your nerves and your muscles, the neuromuscular junction, eventually gets so much ATP and epinephrine in it, adrenaline, that it needs more to continue to perform the same functions. And when it doesn't get enough of that ATP because of the stimulant, then you start to crash. And eventually you can actually become addicted. Your heart can race. All these things can happen at some point. Whereas with Cardio Miracle, because of the fact that it's organic fruits and vegetables with nitric oxide, like that's not going to happen. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've never had anybody tell you, okay, stop eating a bigger bowl of broccoli,
Yeah.
right? Or stop eating too many, you know, strawberries, right? But yet in the strawberry, in the broccoli, you know, in the blueberries are these great phytonutrients and all of these natural chemicals, if you will, that our bodies need to function, right? And so as a neurosurgeon, for me, the point is it's better to start with getting people the building blocks of health that their body needs first, okay? Because most people run their tanks almost on empty, and especially in terms of good nutrition, good diet. So start there. And I really believe that Cardio Miracle should be a huge part of that story, and especially with the vitamin D. And then from there, make sure you get your water. Most people should be drinking about half of their body weight in ounces of water, a minimum. And then if you can, 7 to 8 hours of sleep, right? And when you have those components, good diet, good water, and reasonable sleep, then you're off to the races. But if any of those get thrown off, then you can throw all of the medication in the world at someone and their substrate isn't strong. So it's only going to, it's going to, prop them up, but it's not going to give them what they need in a sustained way. Right. And so this is the reason why I think it's such a game changer. And so, and even for kids, we have younger kids take half the dose because, again, I'm not going to tell little Johnny he can't have broccoli and he can't have strawberries and grape seed or grapes, right? I mean, it's a joke, but yet when people get these nutrients, the superfood, it's a huge help.
Well, I'm glad that was literally my next question because I have kids. I have 2 kids, and I've been thinking about, I'm like, they can probably drink this. And when I take it into my psychiatrist, I had asked him about this and he looked at it and he's like, I mean, I know it's for adults, but he's like, I don't know, maybe half the dose. But he's like, he's like, this is just food. And so there's nothing in this that's concerning. And so I've been thinking about that. I think we are just going to be a Cardio Miracle family.
Right. Yeah.
I think it will start being part of their regimen because of what it's done for me. I mean, it's like the good news of Jesus, like you were just talking about the Bible and stuff, where once you know it, you can't unsee it, and you want to tell everyone what it's done for you. At the doctor's office this morning, these ladies were sitting there, and I was just waiting for my checkup, and one of them was like, "Oh, I gotta, when's your break?" And the other one said, "Oh, at 10." And she said, "Oh, I gotta go get a Coke." And then the other one was drinking a Starbucks thing. And then, someone else said, "Yeah, I gave up caffeine. I'm dying. I'm so miserable and stuff." And after my doctor's appointment, I walked outside and I was like, "Don't go back, Julie." And I'm like, "No, you just got to." And I went back because I don't want to seem too salesy because I didn't believe in this stuff. So I feel like I'm that crazy person now that's like, "Hey, I have a supplement for you that will fix your problems," But I was like, "Hey, ladies, I couldn't help but overhear you talking." And I told them about it. I was like, all I have to say. And I was like, I happen to have it with me because the doctor told me to bring it. And I told them all about it. And they were like, "No way, write it down." I'm like, I am not joking. I don't drink stuff like this. Like I don't. And I don't need Diet Coke anymore. I still drink one once in a while, if I'm being honest. I like how it tastes and it's fun. It's not great for me, but like I used to live on that stuff. I used to need it. And especially trying to treat the ADHD. And it's just been phenomenal. Like I mentioned earlier, what I was most surprised about is how much it's helped my joints as well. Um, it's just been incredible.
Right.
It's been
And that's
incredible for my
the
joints.
the
Yeah.
anti-inflammatory effects of the nitric oxide, it's a game changer. And, this also has beets in it. And you
Mm.
hear about certain, other products out there, but the difference is the nitric oxide that's in this it's unparalleled, right? But again, it has beets and it has other natural vitamins and, I shouldn't say vitamins, but other nutrients that are in it. And so it's like, well, again, back to the veggies and back to the fruits. I have a 12-year-old and a 16-year-old daughters, and I have them taking Cardio Miracle, and they noticed all kinds of great improvements. And one is just did really well. She qualified for states in cross country. And so she's been drinking Cardio Miracle too. So,
Well, and speaking to beets, when I first met my husband, he, like I said, is more into natural stuff, and he is a power lifter. And because he's not here, I can brag on him and embarrass him, which he benches 430 pounds. Like he has 54-inch shoulders. I'm married to a fridge. He's a huge human, right? And he would chew beet chews before he would go lift. He has this big thing of beet chews. I'm like, why? And he's like, it's just I lift different when I chew one of these things. And so we were really happy to see that. It's like, oh, your beets are in here too, that you think are disgusting to have to eat actual beets, but you'll eat it in a chew, and now it's in here too. So one more thing we don't need to buy, right?
right.
When she had asked our question about the lymphatic and lymphedema, which thank you. She'd said, is the 1800 number for Australia, is this sold in Australia? Which is a great question.
That is a great question. And I know that you can go on the website and I'm pretty sure it is sold in Australia as well. But again, through the website, and then they'll get it
Yeah.
to you.
Yep. So, yep. Oh, and we have a yes. Here's the phone number.
Yep.
And just make sure you grab that link that keeps popping up. We'll put it in the chat, I'm sure, as well, but cardiomiracle.com/ICU living. And if not, Joanne, I will mail it to you personally because I definitely can get it here, and I will mail you a package of it. No problem. It's worth it. Especially you brought up cancer. It's a big deal to me. What would you say to people I've talked to, going back to ADHD, people that feel a lot of shame about ADHD because they feel like they don't have the willpower that another person has, and how that connects to what you've seen Cardio Miracle be able to do?
Yeah. And I think personally, I think we're dealing with a population of people that are very intelligent, and their mind is working so much faster that everything else is slow. And so that can really be overwhelming. And I think it can be discouraging, because if you try to read and you're reading at a regular pace, and it's like, I'm just going to fall asleep because it's just coming in too slow. Right. And so that can be really discouraging. And that's the reason why I think the Cardio Miracle is so helpful, because again, it doesn't hurt. It tastes good, doesn't hurt you. And yet you start to get the stimulation that your brain needs and your body needs. And pretty soon things change when you're reading, or you're performing some leisure activity, or you're doing whatever. It's really different. And so you can still be brilliant, but not be defeated by your brilliance in the face of the rest of the world being too slow.
I appreciate that. That feels a lot better than how I've felt at times in the past, and how I found myself, picking my fingernails until they bleed as a grown woman. Like, I mean, I speak on stages. I published a book. I'm paid thousands of dollars to speak, and yet I cannot stop picking at my nails. Like I look like a child, right? And there's that feeling there of, what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just pull it together? And I appreciate you pointing out the brilliance in that, because I know people that have struggled like me, and I know for myself, I feel like I truly can do anything. And yet there is this sluggish fog that is sometimes so hard to challenge. And that has all changed since starting this. So I'm super excited for Joanne in Australia and everyone watching this, and Mark, people that have commented, because I think it can be a complete game changer. One other thing I wanted to bring up that I thought was interesting before we show, I know we're going to show an offer here. I thought it was interesting in the interview I watched from you. You spoke to the financial side of choosing to buy a supplement. And because it's something, like I said, I've not been a believer in it. So any supplement to me is if it's money, it's not worth it because I didn't believe in it. But you talked about how the financial risk of not taking care of your health and of drinking soda and other things and all of these things, and how much this supplement will save you money. And it just hit me so hard that I'm like, it is. I'm no longer me and my husband are no longer getting these prescriptions. We're not getting these things from Costco. I mean, even right now in our 30s, it's already saving us money. But long term, I mean, the amounts of money I've spent on different things that maybe now are going to be curved and corrected. I mean, I look at my family and the cancer bills and all the things, and it's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. And so it'll be absolutely a spot in my budget forever. Besides the quality of life factor, which is hard to put a price on, it really is saving us money, which is the crazy part. I think I listened to Jason and Tammy Hewitts, who I just adore. I listened to them do a webinar, and I believe they said that John has not changed the price of Cardio Miracle since he formulated it. Am I remembering that correctly, Dr. Avery?
Yeah, that's right. He's wanting to get people kind of like the Cadillac, if you will, of a superfood, but at the cost of a Chevrolet or what have you, right? Because he has such a heart for people, right? He gets the fact that cardiovascular issues, brain issues, and health, dictate everything in our lives. So
Right.
by getting this miracle to people, it'll make a difference in their lives financially as well as, physically, and there's quality of life. So yeah, he's done a really good job. And I think it cost him a fair amount to do that, but he was willing to take that risk to really be a blessing to people.
I was really impressed with that, though, because I don't know of any other product that the price hasn't changed since it started. Like the 7 years it's been, it hasn't. I mean, everything's getting more expensive with the economy, but that he said, no, we're going to keep it at this price because he wants it to be accessible to any population, I think speaks very highly of the why and the mission behind Cardio Miracle, which as a mission motivated person, that has also gained my trust in the product and in the company, because you guys are doing things different in a way that is very people focused, and human connection and people is everything that I care about, right? It was those people that saved my life when things have been so dark before, and anything that instills greater abilities to connect as humans, to not get lost on the screens and forget the humanity that we all share, I just think deserves our business. And not just that, the quality of life that it's instilled in me, I can't stop talking about. And so if you're listening to this and you already know about it because I've been talking to you about it, I'm sorry, but it's changed my life, and we're truly grateful for it over here at the DeJesus household. So the best way, the way I'm doing it, is to do the subscribe and save, which gets you free shipping and 15% off, right? And then
That's exactly right. That's why I would totally recommend that, because it does make a difference. You're saving so much by having the subscribe and save, and then you don't run out either. And you think about it, I mean, compared to other kind of products that we like coffee, other things that we like in terms of cost. When you compare the cost of Cardio Miracle, it's about $1.27 a serving. All right. Especially when you have it subscribe and save, and you go for the 180 serving bag, which will last you for a couple of months. I mean, it just makes sense.
It does. Yeah, I think I added it up and I was like, okay, so it's costing us, $60 a month, or whatever it is for me. And I was thinking about everything we save from Costco and the prescriptions and all the things, and I was like, that is not bad even for right now. But once again, the previous me that didn't believe in supplements was like, that's $60 I don't need to spend. But now that I've cut out so much and moving forward, I have such a different confidence in my own health, and my ability to do things I didn't think I would be able to with the mental health history I have specifically, and with my hypermobility and different things. I haven't run for a long time. It's been crazy. And again, I hope I'm not a cynical person, but I just mistrust everything maybe right at first until like you have to prove it to me first. And even subscribe on and save on Amazon, I don't do because I'm like, well, that's just how they catch you. Like I'm like, no, I don't need, but this is one that I do not want to be without because of the impacts it has. But also what's kind of a safety net for me is I appreciate and I try not, I mean, I think I've only had one day since I started it about maybe 6 weeks ago. Maybe it hasn't been quite 6 weeks. I had one day where I realized I forgot to take my second dose. And I appreciate that I was like, oh, I am feeling a little whatever, but it wasn't like ADHD medication where it was like, oh, one dose, you're trash, right? Because there's that buildup with it where I hardly ever forget, but forgetting one day, I wasn't a mess on the floor like can happen with medication because it's that natural health that is now becoming a normal part of my day-to-day life. And it feels incredible.
That's awesome. Good to hear.
Yeah. Before we end up, have you heard any stories lately with people's experience with Cardio Miracle that has especially touched you? Just being able to see people in that area?
Right. I mean, there's so many. So I've heard of people getting off of all kinds of medications, off their supplements. I've heard people who haven't been able to sleep. They're now sleeping. I've heard of people who were diabetic and having a diabetic neuropathy and pain in their legs and having that pain go away. I mean, and getting off their medications. I mean, so that's another recent one. So again, and it's just a superfood, right?
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing, and it's a miracle.
Yeah.
And John Hewlett's a miracle, and I think he's a gift to humanity because of his heart and what he's gone through to get it to this point. And my hope is that every child and adult would try Cardio Miracle, because I think pretty quickly it'll be in everybody's home. And the problem is that then we'll be paying less for pharmacologic medication. And so maybe Big Pharma might be upset, but everybody else will be healthy. So
we don't care because people that truly want to help people, when you find something that works, that's what you can't stop talking about, right? This has been such a fun conversation with you. Thank you for the honor and for explaining this to me in a way, and to viewers in a way that we can understand here at ICU Living. And just thank you for the work that you do.
well, thank you.
I did want to mention, I also appreciate what you said though about you want every adult and child to try this. Well, that's what's cool too, is there's 100% back money guarantee. I can't imagine it's ever used, but what a nice safety net for skeptics like me, where like, I don't spend $1 on anything I don't need, right? Like I buy very intentionally. And so to be able to buy this knowing if it doesn't work, you can get all your money back. Like again, to show the heart of the company and the why. I mean, I speak to companies all over the US about ICU leadership, about making people feel seen through the way you treat your people, but also the products you sell. And that's one reason I have just latched onto Cardio Miracle so much, not just because it is such an incredible product for helping people feel seen and be their best selves, but also the way the company is run, as far as 100% back money guarantee, free shipping, a subscription, all these things, just making it easier and easier for us to make healthy choices. And what a contrast from the general food manufacturers that is lacing everything with more and more sugar, making things as absolutely addictive as possible and raising prices. And that alone, I think, speaks volumes to this is the real deal. So thank you again to you, Dr. Avery, and all the work you do at Cardio Miracle.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you, Julie. It's been lovely to speak with you.
Yeah, I hope we can stay friends. I'm going to have to brush up on some of my vocabulary to have some more educated discussions with you, but sure appreciate you. And Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for the live chat. Please go grab your 15% off and your free shipping with the subscribe and save over at cardiomiracle.com/ICU living. And I don't think this will be the last you hear about Cardio Miracle, not just here online, but in your neighborhoods and households to come. So we will see you next time. We'll see you later.
Okay. See you later.